This is Ravi Kumar. Today we are going to discuss about much more interview questions. We already done some of the videos on interview question. We are keep on continue on that same series. So today the questions are: explain the data flow in Splunk from input to search. What are the buckets in Splunk? Explain hot, warm, cold, frozen, and thwart bucket. Difference between props and transforms.conf. What happens if license master goes down or unreachable? What is the role of deployer in such a clustering? So we are break down one by one interview question here. Just go through this. Explain the data flow in Splunk from input to search. Yes, in the Splunk there are different phases of data flow. On that, the input phases will be there, index phase will be there, search phase will be there. Total three main stages are there: input phase, index phase, search phase. In input phase, data is collected from sources using forwarders, scripts, or APIs or other methods which are used exclusively to act as an input phase. Whereas index phase, data will be received and parse the data, like customize the data, filter the data, route the data, applying the timestamps, applying the line breakings, and after that the data will be stored in indexes to searchable. Whereas search phase, users will sit on the search phase and write a SPL query via such a component they used to analyze the indexed data which was in the index page. So that means the data source is a forwarder, indexer is a storage, searched is a search phase where we can call dashboards, reports, alerts, dashboards, whatever it may be. Actually, based on the company architecture, these phases will be there. But the major three phases and three tiers are input phase, storage phase, and search phase. If you talk about, if you have a data in one server itself, this is one server, for example, client server. In this server itself, I need to install the Splunk software. In this server, I need to store the data. In this server, I need to search and visualize it. So in that case, this is only the forwarder phase, that is input phase. This is only the indexer component, that is index phase. And this is only the searcher, that is search phase. That means within the standalone system, the input, index, and search phases all in the same server. Now come to the second architecture. The data is some other place. It is in USA, assume that US server. So for that, I need to get that US server. So for that, I need to collect the data. So for that, I need to install the Splunk component called forwarder. With that Splunk component, I need to collect the data and I need to send the data to indexer phase. Indexer is separate component again. It is used to receive the data and store the data. And here itself, we will write a SPL query and create searches and visualizations. So in that case, this input phase and search phase is in the same component, that is indexer and searcher. But some architectures will be increasing of capacity of searches. So that forwarder phase will be used for input phasing, collecting the data and sending the data. Whereas indexer phase is used for index phase, like storing the data, receiving and storing the data. And after that, searched phase is used to search the data and create reports, alerts, and visualizations. Got my point? So this is the total three phases with the Splunk architecture. One is input phase, another one is index phase, another one is search phase. Even if you go with huge amount of capacities also, that will be go to clustering. In that also, input phase is different, index phase is different, search phase is different. Input phase is always forwarders, index phase is always indexers components, whereas search phase is always searchers will be sit on. Now come to what are buckets in the Splunk. That is the second question. Explain hot, warm, cold, frozen, and thwart buckets. Basically, the Splunk, once the data is received, Splunk stores the data into indexes. That we call it as indexed data into buckets. Call it as a directories or disk. Each represents the data lifecycle stages. So for example, the first data will be goes to hot bucket. Why? Because it is active data being written. The first bucket who writes the data. The latest data will be writes to hot. And after that, warm, recently indexed and read only. Cold, old data on cheaper storages. Frozen, data rolled off can be deleted or archived. But frozen data restored from searching. First, the data will be sourced into hot bucket. That's why every index needs a one hot bucket, must and should. And hot will be rolled to warm bucket based on the parameters. I will show you the parameters. And warm will be rolled to cold bucket. Hot to warm, cold buckets are the searchable buckets. And wherever the data you don't want to search, the data needs to be moved to frozen. Whatever the data in the frozen, it is not searchable. After some time, it will be deleted, or you can have an option to archive the data also. Whatever the archived data or whatever the frozen data or frozen directory data needs to be re-indexed by using a thwart path. This is the flow. Come to the parameters. Actually, this is the queues. Once the data is received, the data will be parsed into different queues like parsing queue, inputting queue, parsing queue, merging queue, typing queue, indexing queue. And we will have separate topic for this. So we'll do this queues concept in coming interview questions episodes. But now come to the buckets. The first, the data will be rose to hot. Hot is the first bucket. Okay, that means there is a different parameters used in the indexes.conf like maximum hot buckets, maximum hot span seconds, maximum hot ideal seconds, maximum meta entities. Like that are too many. If any replication errors are there in the clustering, so that data replication, then the hot will be rose to warm. And warm will maintain the data from hot. That will be parameter called maximum warm db count equals to 300. Up to 300 databases, it will maintain warm. And after that, the data will be moved to cold. At cold, there is a parameters like maximum total data size MB, frozen time periods in seconds. These two parameters are retention policy parameters. Very important entry question also. What are the two parameters of retention policy? Maximum hot data size MB, frozen time periods in seconds is the two parameters. And if you want to like archive the data in the frozen directory, we need to mention the frozen directory path. Or if you want to mention the frozen script, also possible. Based on the script, the data will be archived in the third party. Whereas thwart path also directly you can mention, there it will be archived. If whatever the data, if you want to re-index the data, we will use a thwart path with the help of rebuild command. Whatever the data you are re-indexing, the data again needs to be follow the parsing queue, merging queue, typing queue, indexing queue, and storing again hot bucket, warm bucket, like that. But whatever the re-indexed data won't consider against the license. Why? Because it's already read by Splunk, so that again it want to read, it won't consider any license. These all are the parameters. We need to use it. If you want in detailed explanation, definitely we have a Splunk Enlist course in Provoke Trainings Institute, which was located in Amirpet. So you just enroll to Provoke Training Institute for Splunk Enlist course. Definitely you will get complete hands-on experience with practical knowledge, so that whatever the content we are teaching, that is equals to 5 years of experience content, so that you can easily get your job by your own. Okay, and also you can easily do your practicals by your own. It is completely a real-time training. Now come to third question, difference between props and transforms.conf. It's a simple, very, very important entry question. It is a simple, sir. Once the data was received by using a inputs, the data will be goes to different queues. And after that, the data will be stored. Whatever the queues we are talking, that is a props and transforms. Props and transforms are used to customize the data, filter the data, transform the data, or restrict the data, or route the data. So that there is a relation of props and transforms. The relation is props defines how incoming data is interrupted, like it will be apply line breaking, segmentation, timestamp applying, field extraction apply, and source type mapping, and other certain parameters like time stamping, time prefix, okay, max timestamp allocate, truncate. This type of parameters will be used. But if talk about a transforms, some complex transformations if you want to do, then we will use a transforms. But transforms won't do anything independently. Definitely it will be depend on props. Why? Because if you want to do anything, you need to define on the transforms.conf, and that needs to be executed on the props.conf. That means props and transforms are dependent. If you want to apply the normal interruptions, you directly use a props.conf. But if you want to go with multiple complex transformations, you just go to the transforms.conf file only. Transforms.conf file like masking, routing, or filtering the data works in combination of props.conf file. Combination of props.conf file. So next, fourth question, what happens if license master goes down? Very, very important interview question, sir. Splunk instance continuously, immediately it continue. Sir, Splunk instance continue indexing for up to 72 hours, that is 3 days, sir, using a last license info. After 72 hours, they stop accepting new data, but such as still work. Once the last license master returns, normal operations resume automatically. In simple, detailed explanation, in Splunk, if license master becomes unreachable or stop, the following consequences occurs depend on the duration of the outage and Splunk version. But the grace period is, Splunk provides a grace period of 72 hours, that is 3 days, during which is the indexers will continue to index data. During this period, alerts will be logged, but operation continues normally. But post grace period, indexing is disabled if the license master remains unreachable by beyond the 72 hours grace period. Also, all indexing stops across the connected indexes. You can't inject any new data until issue is resolved or new license master is configured. Such as on the existing data will still working, sir. Such as on the already indexed data may still function unless specific features tied to licensing are required. For example, enterprise security, ITSA application, UBA application. This all belongs to license. In that case, that licenses belonging things won't work until the license master will come into the picture. Now come to the resolution steps. Very important. Resolution steps are restore connectivity, ensure license master is reachable from the indexers, check network firewall settings, restart Splunk services on the license master if needed, reassign the license master. If license master is permanently unavailable, assign a new license master and configure indexer to the point to it. Temporary standalone mode is also possible. In emergency cases, you can temporarily switch indexers to standalone license mode. Through this should only be last restore. Maintain high availability of license master is one of the best option. Otherwise, you can go with a separate standalone mode, as I said previously, for temporary purpose. But better to go with a maintenance high availability of license master, like a clustering or failure mechanism can prevent disruptions. Now come to fifth important interview question. What is the role of deployer in the subset clustering? So very, very important interview question. In Splunk subset clustering, the deployer plays a crucial role in the managing and synchronizing configuration and apps files across all subsets in the cluster. So it is used to distribute the configuration bundles like apps, dashboards, lookups, or knowledge objects or scripts, which was used in the subset members, to all members of subset clustering, ensuring consistency across the cluster. In that case, so the purpose of deployment server is the deployer is responsible for distributing configuration apps and UI elements to all subsets in the cluster. It ensures that all members have consistent configurations. Location is the deployer is standalone Splunk instance, separate from the subsets in the cluster. It is not apart from the cluster itself. Separate servers are actually. It is a separate deployer. One subset, one deployer can serve for such one clustering only. Files manager. So the location is Splunk, etc, sh cluster, apps and users folder will be there. Whatever the configurations you want to deploy to the subset cluster members, you need to place here and you need to push the bundles with the help of command call Splunk apply sh cluster bundle -target that server member IP address :8089. And admin prepares or updates apps configuration on deployer under the directory like Splunk home etc sh cluster and apps. Run the command below bash. This will helpful to push the bundles. So it all total 5 questions we covered in this class. That is explain the data flow in the Splunk from input to such. Total 3 stages: input phase, storage phase, index phase, and searching phase. Whereas what are the buckets in Splunk? Hot, warm, cold, frozen, and thwart bucket. Hot will be the first. It will store the data coming from the different sources, and hot will be rose to warm, warm will be rose to cold. Hot, warm, cold buckets are the searchable buckets. If you don't want to search your data, you need to move the data to frozen. At frozen, Splunk will delete the data, or you can arcade the data in frozen directory or frozen script based on the third party. So otherwise, you can use directly thwart path also. If you want to reindex the data, we will use a thwart path by using a rebuild command. come to the difference between props and transforms. So both are used to customize the data, filter the data, transform the data. But normal operations as simple line breaking, segmentation, truncating, timestamp applying, other things are there. We directly use a props. But if it is a complex task like routing, transformations, filtering, masking, okay, and also somewhere we'll talk about complex transformations, we will use a transforms.conf file. Both will be dependent, sir. We will define the things in the transforms.conf file and we will execute in the props.conf file, sir. So both are dependent. What happens if the license master goes down? Yes, sir. Nothing will happen up to 3 days, sir. Up to 72 hours, nothing will happen. After 72 hours only, if any license master is not came into the picture, then new index won't be, new data will be, won't be indexed, sir. Whatever the already indexed data, you can start search and create whatever you want. But license dependency things also will be stopped, sir. So for that, immediately you need to take action to go with a standalone separate server license master, or better to go with a temporary license master, or restore existing license master, or we can go with a high availability of license master, also best possibility. And also firewall checking, service checking also needs to be checked. And what is the role of deployer in the such a cluster? Deployer is a separate Splunk instance. It acts as a configuration management tool which is used to distribute the configurations and other set of applications to the such members in the cluster. This is about 5 important questions. I think that's all enough. I think this is an interview point of view only. That's why I'm theoretically explaining everything. Okay, you want to take the things, you just take the notes and you can by heart yourself. So this is the most important interview questions. But if you want to have these questions in the practicals, or if you want to interest to see this as a practicals, so must and should you need to enroll for Splunk Enlist course in Provoke Trainings. So we are going to teach you completely real-time practice, real-time training, including all interview questions and also resume preparation, Naukri guidance. Until you will get the job, we will be with you, so that you just curious about to learn much more things in the Splunk. Just don't wait for that. Just learn, enroll for the Provoke Trainings course, Provoke Trainings for Splunk course. That's all enough today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to stay tuned to Provoke Trainings for more exact content like this.